afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, good morning, actually. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Now, for the next 5 hours, I'm going to be your guide. I'm going to take you on a tour of the tower, point out some historic buildings, and tell you stories relating to them, okay? Stories, ladies and gentlemen, not necessarily the truth. I don't want any of you coming up to me later on going, oh, I think you'll find that was the Duke of Norfolk. I think you'll find I don't care. Our story begins way back in 1066 when William the Duke of Normandy, now known as William the
Conqueror.
defeated the Anglo-Saxon King Harold at the Battle of Hastings. Yeah, not quite so many of you joining all that one. Someone very proudly shouted Waterloo yesterday. Anyone here from France? Good. William was crowned King William I on Christmas Day of that year, but he had to continue to fight his Saxon subjects who did not take kindly to Norman domination. William was looking for somewhere to build a citadel to impress and dominate the citizens of London, and he chose a site just inside the eastern city walls where once a Roman fort had stood. 1078, he authorised the building of his first royal palace and fortress in this country. Today we refer to it as the White Tower, and it's over there behind those buildings. Don't bother looking, it's behind those buildings. Over the next 200 years, successive monarchs continued to add to the tower's defences. The inner bailey, or defensive wall, containing 13 smaller towers, was constructed in around 1220. In 1280, King Edward I held a meeting with all his knights and his barons, and he said, "We're going to build a wall." It's going to be great. And the Scots are going to pay for it. And they did. They built another wall with 6 small towers, all of which faced south to defend against an attack should it come from the river. Another part of the tower's defensive was a moat. You're now standing in it. Again, this was dug during the reign of Edward I and was considerably deeper than it is now. It was designed to make use of the tidal flow of the River Thames. For twice a day at high tide, the river would flow in and around the moat and flush it clean. Does that sound like a good idea? Well, it didn't work. Over time, all the rubbish, raw human excrement, that's poop. Dead animals, dead tourists, flow downstream into our moat and sink to the bottom. Over time, we successfully created the largest cesspit in Europe. This situation continued for a period of 500 years. Imagine what it must have smelt like on a warm summer's day. Camden. Eventually it got so bad we had to fill it up with sand and shingle to the level we're at now. Now, I said earlier this was the first royal palace and fortress of its kind to be built by the Normans in this country, but over the years it's been employed in many other ways. For example, this is still the place where we keep safe the crown jewels and royal regalia, and has been since 1303. This was the location of the Royal Mint, where all the coins of the British Empire were designed and produced until 1810. The British Empire. British Empire. Right. If you come from Australia, New Zealand, South Africa, Canada, Zimbabwe, quite a lot of Africa, Gibraltar, Malta, Cyprus, the Middle East, India, Pakistan, Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, Myanmar, Singapore, Indonesia, Malaysia, Thailand, some parts of China, the Caribbean islands, the Falkland Islands, the Pitcairn Islands, the Cook Islands, Solomon, quite a lot of islands, including the United Kingdom and Ireland, then at some point or other you've been part of the British Empire. Therefore, I'd like you to join me in an enthusiastic and rousing huzzah!
Huzzah!
You remember I mentioned enthusiastic, right? Yeah. Let's try that again. British Empire!
Huzzah!
Very good, I'm mildly impressed. Let's hear the Americans have a go.
Huzzah!
Rubbish. By the way, you don't get to say huzzah. You made your choice. However, we've been getting on quite well recently, so I'm willing to give you guys a yeehaw, which is one down from a huzzah. Let's try that again. Everyone who's not from America, British Empire! America! Yeehaw! There you go. That's why you'll never have an empire. We used to have a